Microsoft. Back to Microsoft for a moment. We have some figures. I know you're big business, big money guy. When we started talking about the TikTok stuff, your first question was how much?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? Are you trying to buy TikTok?
How much are we talking?
Because you're talking about billions of people using it.
Mm-hmm.
And you had gone on TikTok recently, so you were afraid of losing it.
Well, all I can say is using the app without an account, it's good vibes. It's a good time waster. You learn a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Conspiracy theory. Willie Do works for ByteDance. Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
He's like, all I can say about TikTok is good vibes.
Yeah.
Just good vibes. I think Donald Trump would disagree with you.
I'm just going home with the briefcase full of cash.
Yeah, exactly. No wonder it's good vibes. The cash in the briefcase, it's got all the vibes in the world. We're joking, of course. Anyways, we have some numbers. Apparently, buying TikTok's U.S. operations could reportedly cost Microsoft anywhere from $10 billion to $30 billion. So it's a huge range. And I'm sure it's contingent on all kinds of variables that for example, are we able to move all the data? What are the costs incurred in doing so? And how big of a headache is that? And what kind of hoops do we have to jump through for the government and all these things that could potentially impact that eventual cost?
Yeah, not to mention the U.S. Treasury is going to get a cut, apparently.
That's right.
You know?
You're referencing the clip that went out recently. We put out recently. Mm-hmm. Trump wants a piece of the deal.
Yeah.
As well. I don't know if that's included in his 10 to 30. Now, the reason this number might be surprising is because originally, when there was talk of U.S.-based investors that are already invested in ByteDance just taking ownership of the U.S. operations, there was a valuation floating around of about $50 billion, 50. Mm-hmm. So this is knocked down quite a bit. And it was something that I speculated early on that if you make the threat to ban the app if they don't get a sale, the closer that you get to the ban date, that sounded like I said Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Ban date, the lower the value.
Yeah, yeah.
This is weird, isn't it? They don't have... This is where this thing gets into Godfather territory. Making an offer that you can't refuse. Mm-hmm. I'll make him an offer he can't refuse. You get what you get, or you get nothing. What? You can't. I don't know, man. It's a tough one for me to figure out because if you're Microsoft, why don't you just wait too? Are you really that worried that Facebook or Google? Why don't you just chill, wait till day 44 and say, all right, last chance.
Yeah.
10 billion, not 30.
Yeah.
Or 5 billion or whatever. And you know what? Be quiet about it because you're about to get nothing. So you should be happy.
Yeah. And look at Instagram Reels. It's doing really well. So
negotiation, it's about leverage.
Yeah.
And having Trump in there saying what he's saying, that is banned no matter what, it gives all the leverage exists on the U.S. side. Mm-hmm. And so you're at Microsoft, you're Ballmer or whoever you are, and you have a phone call with Trump. You say, let's wait it out. You say, keep making the threats, make the threats even harder. I want to catch a deal here. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going on, but you just look at the specifics and realize, man, if it's going out, if it goes to zero eventually, then this clock leading up to the ban is essentially the clock ticking on the valuation as well. Yes. Bizarre. But anyways, so this deal, by the way, would only be for the operations in U.S., Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. So English-speaking countries with ad markets and all the rest of it. It's not all of TikTok, to be fair. And in fact, TikTok comes out and says, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It makes up 10.3% of TikTok downloads in the last 30 days, the U.S. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and I think to myself, really, 10%? Well, where are all these downloads coming from? And sure, the world is a very big place. But I'll tell you from my experience, Will, now I can only speak for English-speaking content because that's what we produce. when you look at the CPM figures, the advertising figures across different countries, they vary widely. The potential money you can make from advertising depends on the purchasing power of the person you're advertising to.
Yes.
Which then ends up in the CPM figure that we end up getting paid for advertising. And so we get this glimpse into the global landscape for where you can make money. And CPMs in places like the US can be astronomically higher than other markets halfway across the world. So even though, and we don't have these figures, and presumably at some point TikTok wanted to make some money. So if we see a 10% download rate and you say, oh, well, TikTok can go on in the other places, they got 90% of their business. No, not 90% of their business. They may have 90% of their downloads.
Yes.
But if they were able to get to a point where they could sell ads in the US, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, at the type of CPMs that are available there, based on my experience here on YouTube, that's an order of magnitude. It could be 10x higher than a different country.
Yes.
It could be more than 10x at some different country, depending where that country happens to be. And so it's not a one-to-one ratio for potential revenue.
Right.
I think that's important to put out there. So I don't know what happens to TikTok post-sale. Does it continue on in some regions, or is it just not worth it at that point, even if you have big download numbers, because you can't get the right type of advertising revenue? We'll see how it all maps out. But anyways, we have at least something to go on right now. If the Microsoft deal gets done, apparently TikTok is still talking to other tech companies and to seeing if they can get something done. So that is one area where TikTok has a tiny bit of leverage that they could sell to somebody else.
Right.
But then Trump has to say yes. You see where this goes. It's Godfather stuff.